Perfect. So I don't have slides for this, so I'm just going to go it off the top. I do have a structure though, which I'm going to take out because I do not want to yamp on forever and ever. So I'll just play this over here. But basically, what I want to talk about today. Firstly, I'll introduce myself. So my name is Sara-Jane Kenny. I work with the Algorand Foundation. It's a layer 1 blockchain, but I'm not here today to talk about Algorand. I'm here to talk about another topic that I'm quite passionate about as well, which is obviously blockchain, like all of you, as well as quantum. Now, I want to keep it kind of simple, and some of the stuff that I'll talk about today, you probably already know, because I know there's already some experts in the crowd. Big shout out to SheFi, Base, and East Dublin for letting a lunatic like me talk on the stage for 8 minutes. And I should probably stop cutting into my time. So let's get into it. Firstly, quantum computers, it kind of sounds like something out of like sci-fi or something like that. It's like this magical thing that is happening in the bleeding edge of technology. And with quantum computers, you know, it could do breakthroughs in science and medicine and things like this, but it also can be a threat to the digital security that we have today. And that doesn't just mean blockchain, but it could also mean the internet as well. But I'm going to focus on the blockchain side of it, because if we all believe in blockchain being foundational in years to come, and as we're doing right now, we need to make sure that it's also secure for the future of computing. So, I'm going to break it down into what is a blockchain first of all. The way I like to explain what blockchain is to compare it to something familiar. So maybe you guys have heard of databases before, or even, let's break it down even further. Google spreadsheets or Excel spreadsheets. You go in, you type in a name in one of those cells so you can create information. You can read that information. You can maybe go in and update it, say if you had a typo, and then you can also just completely delete it if you want. And so that's called the CRUD system, create, read, update, and delete. So now if we compare that to blockchain, you can create information on a blockchain, you know, with a transaction. You can read that if it's public, a public blockchain, but you can't update it, so that means it's tamper-proof. You can't just go in and change what you already put to the blockchain. And then you can't just go in and delete parts of the ledger that you want to do, so it is also immutable. You cannot change the history. So what blockchain gives is it takes away the U and the D, the update and delete, and that's powerful in many different ways. So the next part that I want to talk about is, we talked a bit about what blockchain is, but how does blockchain actually work? So I'm going to break it down into 3 core pieces. We have the ledger, so that's the history of all the transactions that has ever happened. So say if you look at ETHScan or things like that, or EtherScan, you can see all the transactions that have happened. Then we also have the consensus, so that's the agreement of what gets put forward in the block of the chain. So you have the block, all the transactions in it, they're all chained together by cryptographic hashes. Now, we're not going to get too technical at all, so don't worry. After the consensus, you can just imagine it like, say all of us in the room, if we were to agree on what was to move forward, if we all agreed, then it will move forward. And then the third part of the blockchain is the signature. So everyone has accounts on blockchains, and with an account, you have basically a private key. And that's what's used to sign what you want to do on a blockchain. So there's the 3 parts. It's the ledger, which is the history, the consensus, which is the agreement, and then it is the signature, which is, you know, who you are on the blockchain. Next part that I want to talk about is basically let me just double check, because I want to make sure I have a story here. Okay, so how can quantum break each of these? So we're bringing over the quantum factor. So if we look at the ledger again, if you had a quantum computer, essentially what it can do for the history is it could go in and possibly change history, which is completely against the ethos of what blockchain stands for, and that's really worrying. Then there is also the signature side. So if you had a quantum computer, it could, you know, mimic basically your account and be able to sign transactions without you even knowing it. So that's like somebody taking your pen and your handwriting and, you know, say signing checks without you even knowing. And then there's also the signatures, there's the consensus side. So imagine a quantum computer would be able to also impersonate you. And if you were one of those people, like a validator, so the people who secure the network, the nodes that run the software to secure a consensus mechanism, if you were to pretend to be one of them in a boardroom, and then you decide, actually no, we're going to go this way in something, and everybody agrees with you, well, that's falsifying what you are, or what is actually meant to happen on the blockchain. So those are the three ways a quantum computer can not necessarily directly attack, but it can undermine the tools that we already trust in a blockchain. And how they can do this is essentially, blockchains today, they use something called elliptic curve cryptography. So it's called ECC, and we won't get into the maths, but that is breakable by quantum computers if they were to come tomorrow. So, what are we doing about this? Well, there's a few things going on. So through the US government, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, they run a multi-year competition to try and find that quantum safe algorithms, because this is at the bleeding edge of technology. And so they have picked a few possible winners as well, so there are a lot of work and standards being done. One of them is called Falcon. You can just imagine it as like a lock that works against quantum computers, but just having the lock is not enough. The key to having quantum safe blockchains is you have to have post-quantum security for the three core pieces. You need post-quantum security for the signatures, so people cannot impersonate you. You need quantum security for consensus, so that the way that you put blocks forward runs in the way that it's supposed to. And then also the history of the ledger has to be completely quantum secure. Nobody can go back in and change history that we trust. And so some blockchains, all major blockchains have not made like a full quantum secure blockchain at this very moment. But a lot of research and development is going into it. And the point of this talk is not to, put out a fix or even to scaremonger or anything like this. But I do think it's something really important that we have to think about as we move forward, because we're building so many startups, we're building a community, a culture, all on top of this technology that we believe will benefit many people out there in a decentralized way. So I think it's very important if we also have it future-proofed as well. So let's just double check. Yeah. So I guess I kind of want to leave you guys with one last question before I get off stage. And also I'm very happy to talk more off stage about all of this stuff as well in more detail perhaps. But my question to you is, will blockchain be ready when quantum computers come? And that's just something to have a think about. Now, it's not meant to be that intimidating, but thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We have time for one question.
Oh yeah,
Question both? That's the crack. If anyone has one, speak now.
No questions? That's either good or bad.
I was wondering, does quantum computing have an effect over Web 2 solutions currently as well? Or is this specifically only the blockchains?
No, great point. I feel like you already know the answer. But yeah, of course. So the internet and the apps that we use today also use elliptic curve cryptography, which works perfectly for classical computers. Classical computers are just the laptops and computers you use right now, and we can't break that at the moment. But if quantum was to come, there's this algorithm called Shor's algorithm, which was made in the 90s, which is crazy to think about. But that algorithm, if used with a quantum computer, can break ECC. So we're hoping that blockchain, and of course I believe Apple and Android are all doing their research to start putting in post-quantum security for their messaging and things like this. But yeah, so things like Falcon and LWE, all of those cool things, are hopefully going to be implemented in blockchain. Now, you might be like, well, if we already have it, why don't we just add it in straight away? It's bleeding edge technology, so a lot of testing has to be done, and And also it takes a lot of computational effort as well as a lot of expenses to actually implement this into blockchains. But yeah, it's just more of an awareness talk, more so. But yeah, thank you so much for your time.
And a round of applause. Thanks, Sara-Jane. A very busy woman.